You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people of color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include fantasy violence, death, gore, blood, body horror, complex relationships, vast bodies of water, heights, romance, flirting, and grief. Arc 3, Episode 9, The Unholy Witness, from Praying Beside the Teeth That Killed Me, by Connie Chang. Thakrar is no stranger to duels. Even before they came of age and embraced their promised immortality, the littlest spider of House Thakrar was permitted, and in fact expected, to observe the formal battles of the Crimson Tapestry. This rhythm is familiar. The gauntlet, the adjudication, the injuries, the recompense, the inevitable outcome. She'd even participated in a duel or two herself, as was demanded of her, and she never lost. But Yara didn't like it. She preferred the privacy of her home studio over the eager eyes of a bloodthirsty audience. She liked the distorted screams of horsehair and catgut routed through a fuzz pedal, not the wet ripping sound of flesh rending flesh. The expectations, the violence, the pain, it reminded her too much of Aster. It reminded her too much of Ro. But now, they watch their sibling drain every last drop from their would-be assassin, and the littlest spider is at a loss for words. She's never witnessed anything like this. This is foul, this is intimate, this is messy in a way that Thakrars simply are not. The unlife leeches out of Jamie's eyes, dead blood pools against concrete, and Yara forces themselves to feel nothing at all. Strike Team Nova. In the last 15 minutes, you have reunited, drank blood for the first time in your lives, stopped a rogue assassin, discovered the person in your mission brief, and watched a vampire die. Welcome to Inferno. But before we truly begin, it is time to calibrate your favor and your exposure. So in Court of Vampires, based on Court of Blades, favor measures the goodwill you command among houses that are not your own. You gain favor by helping other houses or by making them look good, and you lose favor by hindering other houses or making them look bad. Favor ranges from -3, which is open war, to +3, which means you are allies. Favor is shared among your party, so one person's actions will reflect on you all. Lumièra. You placed your body between Yara and a wooden stake. While Seir and Xainan took down the assassin, you made sure that Yara Thakrar was safe. And although this doesn't gain or lose you any favor among the other houses, Thakrar has certainly noticed your priorities, as has everyone else. Seir, you drank the blood that was offered to you by House Lanius, but you also left their union meeting without a word. You recall Aditi's firm stance against Jamie's vengeance, but you have definitely interfered with Lanius's plans. The details of that interference are not yet clear to you. Xainan, you have also interfered with a house, in your case, House Kuatun, the House of the Bear. You stole and wrecked their lead retainer's motorcycle. You would have lost at least one favor with Kuatun were it not for Ro, who has promised to mediate recompense between you, Diablo, and Anugata herself. Because of Ro, Strike Team Nova gains and loses no favor with Kuwatoon yet. So overall, Strike Team Nova, you've only lost favor with one house. House Lanius. You are now at -1 favor with the House of the Shrike. This means House Lanius will seek opportunities to cause trouble for you or to profit from your misfortune as long as it's not costly or complicated for them, and they will expect your retinue to do the same. Whether or not you act on that or try to patch things up is up to you. Now, onto exposure. Exposure measures the scandals that follow your retinue around Inferno. You gain exposure when you offend someone, when you commit a faux pas, or when you do something negative in public. Like favor, exposure is shared among your party, so when one of you commits a scandal, you jeopardize the retinue. Your shared exposure track is 7 boxes long. Okay, this is important. When you fill it, when you tick that 7th box, you gain 1 level of shame, which is very, very bad, but we'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. Lumièra, you have earned your party 0 exposure. Well done. Seir, you have earned your party 1 exposure, and that's for partaking in House Lanius's blood and then ditching the union meeting. Xainan, you have earned your party 3 exposure. That is for the whole bike thing and the whole destroyed business thing. So in total, Strike Team Nova, please mark 4 out of 7 exposure on your retinue sheet. And now, Ro. The party is over, and you have dealt it its death blow. As Jamie Shimizu spasms one last time amidst their own spilt blood and failed revenge, the houses of Inferno release a collective breath. The duel is done. The result is clear. Diablo bows in your direction as is customary for the victor, and then he touches 2 fingers to his lips and brings them to the floor as is customary for the loser. When Diablo straightens, their expression is somber, but appeased. So it is said, so it is done. Carry this news where it wants to go, sweet members of our ever sweeter city. And let all know that Rhododendron Thakrar has felled Jamie Shimizu. But soft. Tread light through yonder tunnel breaks, it is the east, and our demise is the sun. 3 hours keep us from rapacious dawn, but do not dawdle, denizens of the crimson tapestry. Be well and gone from this place before light catches you. Diablo nods toward the congregated vampires, and with that, all sense of ceremony disperses. The duel's done. And so whispers now bounce off cavern walls about the death of Jamie Shimizu, the triumph of Rhododendron Thakrar, the gristle, the blood, the sheer sanguine mess of it all. House Thakrar has mounted an admirable defense of its claimants, but there are gaps in its armor. Gaps that you, Ro, must quickly seal off as the frenzy of feeding dies down and your senses flare back into clarity. As you take in the crowd around you, the noises, the smells, the dead blood still so thick in your nose and your mouth, you realize that Aditi Lanius is gone. She was one of the last to arrive and one of the first to leave. Thank the gods, big and small. You've no idea why she showed her face here in the first place, what her goals are beyond the usual goals of House Lanius, but that is a problem for another row, another night. What demands your attention right now?
Yada. Yada does. And Ro has rare hands still in Jamie's body, still covered in his blood, covered in all of the viscera of somebody that honestly they don't even recognize anymore. And pressing down into the body to get themselves up, Ro looks up and frantically looks around, trying to find where Yada is.
Yara is at the front of the crowd. As soon as Diablo announced the results of this duel, the crowd had started to disperse, but not super rapidly. Many are still rubbernecking, looking at you, whispering, and then you see a bit of the crowd part, and there is your sister.
As Ro gets up, I say, "Party is over. The party is over." Looking at the people that are rubbernecking, whispering, saying who knows what about what just happened, and there is a snap in Ro's voice, their fangs bared at the people. There is no actual physical violence that Ro will enact against these people. That is not how the Crimson Tapestry, that is not how House Thakrar operates. But there is a threat behind it, behind that expression.
Your voice feels thicker than usual. It's all the blood that's in your mouth. You're not used to there being so much blood in your mouth, but it rings out clear and commanding. This is your territory, your turf. This was your event. And the words fall on listening ears. The other vampires start hurrying out of here with a bit more adroitness than earlier.
If Ro sees Nova start to leave as well, at that command to the rest of the room, Ro will say, "Not you three."
All right.
And Ro will gesture for the three of them to come and meet them off to the side. Ro is going to close that distance between himself and Yara, so going towards wherever they are, and is going to bring or ask Strike Team Nova to come to the spiders for a little chat.
Xainan was a little stunned when Ro told them to stay. Xainan was still staring at all the blood. It's been a fun night. Until everything went sideways. And there's this sobering moment seeing the person who called them here. The person who called so deeply into the journey that fate heard. Covered in blood. And Xainan is almost transfixed as Ray calls them over. And he walks like he's on rails.
Seir watched the bloodbath explode before him with, at first, neutrality and then with a deepening, troubling realization. Ro is who they're meant to protect. Ro is the mission objective. But I do not think Seir ever thought he would see a ally, a mission objective, be as brutal as he could be. And as he watches the blood drain from Jamie into Ro's maw, he feels blood in his own body begin to spread from his skull down his face to his chest as he feels his entire upper body warm up, heating. And absentmindedly, in the fallout of this duel, Seir finds himself holding onto Nova before him, the other three, one arm on Xainan's right shoulder, the other on Lumièra's lower forearm, and he holds them like a protective bear, realizing how dangerous and terrifying Inferno really is, and the weight of his responsibility has just doubled. As Ro calls to Nova, he snaps out of it. And as Xainan begins moving, Lumièra begins moving, Yinghe begins moving. He almost has his arms and hands tucked behind their waists and back as he walks behind them like a shadow.
Lumièra lags a bit, kind of stuttering in her steps. If it's silent enough in here, you can hear the chain of her pocket watch rustling, its face snapping open and snapping shut as she's just wide-eyed before she steals herself back into where she's supposed to be. Lucy warned us. This place was going to be different. So Lumièra will walk up to Ro and will reach in her pocket to pull out like a napkin or like a wet wipe or something and pass it to you. You should probably clean your face.
And Ro takes that napkin from you and wipes. Thank you. And it's this odd scene that starts to unravel before you. You can see the mask starting to shift and fit back onto Ro's face, the cracks quite literally mending themselves before your eyes, but it's not right with all of the blood still caked onto Ro's mouth and body. You can see that there is something practiced about it. And after wiping their face as best that they can, Ro holds onto Yada's hand and squeezes it firmly. But still looking at Strike Team Nova, will say, thank you for what you did tonight. You saved Yada's life, and for that, House Thakrar would like to extend its grace to you three. So, if it does not inconvenience you, I would like to invite you to come to the House Thakrar Haveli tomorrow night for us to give you a proper thanks.
I appreciate it.
We'd be honored.
Lumièra, like, lowly, like, elbows Seir in the torso.
We look forward to it. As Seir's was an acknowledgement amidst Seir assessing Ro, assessing Yara, and Lumièra's nudge grounds him back into reality. He's like, would be honored.
As for Yara, they squeeze you back, Ro, and then release your hand from their own grip and square their stance to look at Strike Team Nova. And they have steadied their body ever since Ro gave them that look right after the assassination attempt. There is nothing jittery about her voice whatsoever when she speaks. The only betrayal of any sort of nervousness or anxiety or the fact that she's shocked or affected by the outcome of the duel is only noticed by Ro in the slight tremor of those bright cat-like yellow pupils. I just wanted to say thanks personally to all three of you. You especially, and she looks at you, Lumièra, for saving my life or whatever.
Don't worry about it. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine. It was just unexpected and very brazen of someone who doesn't even claim a house to make such an attempt based on a bed of lies. And Yara looks at Ro as though to expect their sibling to confirm this.
It is unbecoming of anyone that has agreed to the Crimson Tapestry, as we all have.
Yes, most unbecoming.
The desperate cornered animal sometimes lashes out.
Keyword desperate.
That is true. Well, I'm a medic, so if you feel woozy, double vision, lightheaded, confused, let me know.
I'm fine. I just need to find my vape and I'll be okay.
Fair enough.
In
Lumièra
all
looks
of his
so confused.
I like to think that Seir and Lumièra like look at each other briefly and be like just mouthing what that is.
In all of this, Xainan doesn't look at Yara. Acknowledges the gratitude, but is inspecting Rhododendron. Inspecting this person who just survived a duel with the eye of someone looking for both vulnerabilities and strengths. And Xainan is both making sure that Ro is actually okay and also admiring the blood, the ferocity, that strong will to live. It was a good fight.
Kai, what exactly are you trying to glean specifically? Just so I know exactly what Ro
Yeah, of
would
course.
be willing to offer you.
Xainan is honestly appraising Ro's combat ability more than anything else. Is appraising them as a fighter. And maybe some other things.
Okay. I think from looking and having watched Ro fight, you can see that there was something to the way that they immediately went for a weapon. That while Jamie was fighting purely with their body, Ro had specifically chosen to take a part of the environment and use that instead. It wasn't until afterwards that Ro went for their own body as the main weapon. So there is, I think you can tell that Ro has been trained to some degree to fight with a weapon as similar to that rapier-esque stake that Ro had created. In terms of whether or not they're actually okay, Connie, are contested roles a thing?
They are, but they have to be asked for and acted on by players. In this
Gotcha.
system, I don't ask for roles. I will only let you know if something is ever in question, or if you just get it automatically.
In that case, I will leave it up to you, Kai. As far as just looking at Ro, you can see, like I said, that mask is slipping back on. You can see that for all intents and purposes, Ro looks okay. Unfazed. If anything, they look slighted, annoyed that they had to deal with this at all.
Honestly, the facade tells Xainan enough. He isn't there to dig or pry. He wants to know who they're getting involved with in detail. He knows the abilities of the other three. And he's only seen Ro fight once, and we're about to get in deep with someone in a very dangerous place. So he wants to know who's got his back. And he's satisfied as he looks you over and gives you the acknowledgement that it was a good fight. But more importantly, he kind of looks to the others, looks back to you, Ro. The Faebelle tomorrow, after you're rested, be eager to speak with you about this and our other business.
Unfortunate that the fight had to happen. But I hope to see all three of you, and Ro's gaze lingers on Seir in particular, tomorrow.
Seir, House Lanius's blood sits somewhere deep in your throat as Ro's eyes fall on you.
An odd, unfamiliar feeling. But I think Seir understands the circumstances in which he finds himself in, especially with regards to the assassination attempt. He straightens, looks Ro in the eye, meets it unfalteringly, Of course. I'm ready to answer any and all queries.
Hey! The voice rings out across the rapidly deserting dance floor as Anugata strides forward like a woman on a warpath in Xainan's direction. But before she can get there, Diablo slinks out of the shadows and presses themselves between this very irate vampire and your crew, places a hand on Anugata's chest and whispers something up at her. And Anugata pauses. Eyes go from Xainan to Ro, and then back at Diablo. Lets out a scoff. Looks at you, Xainan, gives you one last disdainful look. If looks could kill, you'd be dead again. Again, really. And then Anugata turns and goes. Diablo lets out a rather exasperated sigh, kind of wipes his hands together, turns and approaches your party. Gives you a respectful nod, Ro, but then eyes fall on the rest of Nova. Assuming that this little gathering is wrapping up soon, as dawn approaches in not but 3 hours, I'll do you all a favor, outsiders, newcomers rather, and call you a cab.
Thanks. I don't have a ride anymore.
I wouldn't milk that joke too much. At least not while Anugata is still within earshot.
Yeah.
Seir looks towards Yinghe and Lumièra at this point, being concretely out of the loop, with an exasperated, like, exhaustion in his eye of like.
You look at Lumièra and you just see her brow pinched between her thumb and her index finger as she just sighs.
Seir
As
raises
for-
a hand. Yeah.
As for Yinghe, this entire time, Yinghe has been on the fringe of this conversation, standing stock still. Actually, I don't think anyone really notices them, aside from maybe Seir, maybe Lumièra, maybe Xainan, because you physically know they're there. Ro, it's like they kind of come out of nowhere when they speak. Yes, I would appreciate also riding in that cab too, assuming the offer extends to me. My condolences to the two of you for the attempted attack on your life. And Yinghe indicates Yara, who flinches a little as Yinghe steps out of nowhere. Are you? Sure, yeah, whatever, thanks. Appreciated.
There is a moment of surprise, and then a look of appraisal from Ro at Yinghe as he appears out of nowhere, having escaped the observation of the spiders themselves. There was no ping in the spider web, nothing to indicate that someone new had entered. And so Ro looks Yinghe up and down once and says, "Thank you. I assume, are you with them?"
Yeah, for now. We go way back a little bit.
We'll see you tomorrow too then.
Oh, great. I'll be there for sure, 100%. Sorry to all of you for not doing much that time, but I will do more in the future, I promise.
We'll work on
Don't worry about it.
And now if you'll excuse us, House Thakrar has some things to take care of, so. And Ro will place a hand on Yada's shoulders and gently start guiding her away from Strike Team Nova.
Xainan
Yada will
inclines his hat.
Yada will let you do that until you are basically almost out of earshot and out of view, and then they'll kind of shrug your hand off, shake their head, and kind of walk quickly, briskly in front of you. Yinghe turns to face the rest of Strike Team Nova. What is a cab?
Mm-hmm.
It's a
My
ride.
understanding. And it's a mode of transportation.
Oh, okay. So like a horse.
Yeah. Lumièra just looks at Xainan, just eyes wide, just say yes. Just say yes.
We'll show you. And Xainan gets the look from Lumièra, is trying to like shift back into a person that he hasn't been since we've arrived in Inferno. He suddenly is trying to will himself back into the same boots that he walked out of Artemis's office in. For the first time, I think, Lumièra, you see Xainan feel like his clothes don't fit. Like his hat isn't quite right. Something isn't sticking, but he does force that mentor smile. We'll work on it. And then he turns to walk towards the door.
Lumièra's eyebrows shoot up at that. She's extremely observant. She knows your ticks and your tells at this point. She knows you're bullshitting. But she also knows you'll speak when you're ready. So she will turn back to Yinghe and Seir. Y'all ready to go? This was more than enough for one night.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely. Diablo, as soon as your party starts dispersing, just gives the four of you a kind of curt nod, and then turns and goes, one final look lingering on you, Xainan. Though it's not with attraction. You're very familiar with looks of attraction, alluring looks, heated glances across a crowded room. This isn't it. It's an appraising look. Something that you can't quite parse on the surface. And then they're gone. Strike Team Nova, as you head to the entrance of the catacombs, Yinghe's footsteps are barely audible behind the three of you as they say, "So, where are we headed? Do we have an address?" Ping, ping, ping! On all of your phones.
Oh yeah, I forgot about you.
Xainan starts patting himself down.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Do I have a phone?
Yes, all three of you do. Lumièra has already found and played with her phone, but boys, you have phones as well. They are tucked away in whatever pocket on your person you want there to be, but they are there.
Unfortunate truth, once the pinging stops, Xainan stops looking.
Seir picks up his phone and takes a look at it. Huh.
Seir, what's your lock screen?
Okay. Seir's lock screen is an old piece of artwork he did when he was back in his colors phase, where he was working a lot with gouache, and it is a gouache painting of Lumièra sing on a grassy knoll near the nourishment part of Trans, with a tiny strange animal that Sing must have picked up when they weren't supposed to.
Yes, the animal looks like a animate cloud, very fluffy, with these two little black eyes and these little stubby hooves. Very, very cute. Sing had called it a dog. You're not sure if that was accurate though. And
he's certain it's not.
I love that. The message that you see that you got pinged with, the sender is the Oracle, and their contact photo is what they currently look like, that spherical orb with that triangle cut out. And it reads 42 Elegy Parkway, apartment number 3-8.
Oh yeah, I forgot about you. And Seir fishes into his other pocket to pick out the sphere that is the Oracle, and hold it out to Lumièra and be like, the Oracle.
Oh, hello, Lumièra.
Oh.
Do you mind taking me from Seir? His pockets smell like blood and bad mistakes.
Seir shakes the Oracle violently.
Lumièra snatches it out of your hand immediately.
That's how you get responses out of it. I'm not trying to be cheeky.
He's lying. He's lying to you, Lumièra.
When would I do
There,
that?
what's that? Xainan points to the phone.
I think you got one too, Xainan.
You definitely
looks like-
do.
It kind of looks like the ones they hold in Earth.
Oh, those things. I'll look at it later.
It's called a
Lumièra
phone.
will pull her phone out and call Xainan standing directly. You were
Xainan,
like,
what's your
pick up your
ringtone?
phone, damn it.
Oh my god.
I think like beautiful guitar music starts playing and like echoing, and he starts to like really pat himself down, and it's like he goes in and he opens a pouch, and inside of it he looks in and there's a flask of water, and he's like, that's not it, and keeps going, and finally on the side he there's like a holster for it built into this belt that seems to have like 1,000 little pockets and pouches all on it.
Phone holster, no! Not the belt clip!
Why are you so old, Xainan?
Next, you're gonna tell us you have a pager. Oh my god.
And he finally pulls out this phone. And I think it's in like a really industrial case and everything. It is a Xainan-proofed phone.
Fucking OtterBox!
Not a
I love
butter
that.
box!
What is your lock screen, Xainan?
I think Xainan is startled when he looks at the face of it and it lights up. And it is a familiar image, actually, in the same hand of the artist that did Seir's. It is a drawing of Nova on Storm Chaser. Huh. And he opens it and sees the address.
Anyway, that's where you all should probably tell the cab driver that you're headed. The Prime Oracle really outfitted all of you with really nice phones. They're the latest models from Pearl.
Wow, I wish you were this talkative when we were on the top of a building,
Seir.
Oracle.
Well, you never
Just
exactly
Seir.
asked me any interesting questions.
I asked you to find Nova, the secret protocol.
Well, I
Seir,
did,
you're
didn't
arguing
I?
with the ball. We're walking.
Lumièra like places her hand on the back of Seir's like bicep and like just like grips it. Like, please do everything in your power to make this job simpler for all of us.
I'm trying so hard.
Let him have it, Lumièra. Let him have it.
Oracle, you are not helping.
Sorry. You're right, I'll do better.
Okay. So we're gonna go to this address now. Everybody good. Xainan, keep your phone on you.
I got a pocket for it. And he puts it back in that horrible holster on his belt. I think as he's back there, though, Lumièra, you see, like, under the layers of material that cover him, and he pulls back his leather jacket underneath it is actually a, like, knee-length kimono that is just open. But underneath that is this belt. And on the strap of it, 'cause it seems to go up over his shoulder, you see the flash of something silver mounted to the back of it. A long silver spike.
You know what? We're not even gonna get into that right now. One task at a time. Okay, so Lumièra will once again like reassuringly like pat grip Seir's arm. We good now.
Seir relaxes. Color rises to his cheeks, but he does relax and not bully the Oracle any longer.
The Oracle says it in a tone that is so low, only Seir's ears can catch it. And then Strike Team Nova steps out of the catacombs. By now, the autumnal drizzle has died down, so you are left with the smell of rain without any wetness still lingering in the air. You see other vampires dawdling about, smoking, still lingering, trying to find the party after the party, know what I mean? And then, sure enough, you see a pair of headlights cutting through this really late night mist that's descended upon this part of the city. And then a yellow taxi cab pulls to a stop in front of your party.
Can we all comfortably fit in this taxi?
So that's a great question. There's the driver and then 3 seats in the back and 1 seat in the front. So who's going where?
Xainan goes straight. Xainan's in the front, and he goes straight for the passenger seat. He's like, they can figure it out in the back.
Okay, so who opens the door, the back door? I need to know this. Seir, are you going for it?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I do. I have to, because I need to figure out how these two are going to fit themselves at the back.
You open the back door, and Yinghe just looks at you, Lumièra, and goes, you first.
Alright. You should.
Unless you want me to. I can go first if you don't want to go.
Don't worry about it. Okay. And Lumièra just kind of crawls in to the back seat a little bit clumsily. I think she accidentally partially sits on your lap for a second. So you're like trying to get herself situated in the back seat, and then like sits down.
Seir is sat with one arm holding onto the handle of the back seat so that he isn't taking as much space. So he is only really half sitting on this back seat, and you're sitting on the part of his lap that's actually flat against the seat. So he's like, as he's like part way hovering. It's a big boy.
You're muted, Sam.
Oh, geez. I was about to say
I
once.
couldn't hear you.
Oh no, I was definitely muted. I was gonna say like once Yinghe like gets in and we're all like scrunched and smushed in the back seat, I just look up at Xainan sitting in the front and goes, "Now why would you not let the biggest person sit in the front?"
Sorry.
Next time.
Don't worry about it. Lumièra just gives the cab driver the address. And she just like sits back with her head on the seat.
The cab driver is this like older man with this brown skin, really weathered. He has like a hat pulled low over the short black hair, and he just goes, Elegy Apartments. I know it well. I'll get you there in record time. Don't worry, I'm not one of those cabbies that runs up the ticket. And he starts peeling off, and as he does, he fishes a cigarette out of a pack, rolls down the window, which still has like a manual crank, and lights it, and is talking and smoking at the same time.
Seir fully hits his head against the window when he peels off.
Xainan pulls off his hat and cranks down the passenger window and just like fully takes a little cowboy rest in the corner, letting the wind blow on his face, breathing in the city. In his mind, he's also letting the air in to help everyone in the back, but honestly, he's just comfy.
So, Strike Team Nova, the ride to 42 Elegy Parkway, apartment number 38, grants a truly spectacular view of Inferno in the bare hours before deadly sunrise. You gutter past every type of architecture here, from residential neighborhoods lined with bright green trees to ultra-modern malls drenched in neon. You see towering apartments stacked with more AC units than your eye can measure, and laundry lines sagging with drying clothes. You rumble across Inferno Bridge, which is a familiar sight by now to one Xainan Esch. This impressive steel and concrete structure spans a massive river that divides Inferno into east and west and snakes through the city like a world-eating serpent. As the sky begins to brighten in anticipation of dawn, you realize the waters of the Inferno River are tinted. In fact, now that there's more light here, you notice that the water looks red. Crimson. Must be an effect of the soil here. And as the cab flits past these thick steel cables that hold the bridge upright, we pull back into the taxi itself. More specifically, we pull into the front passenger seat as wind ruffles through Xainan's hair. You hear the Oracle's voice, Xainan, shoot that same kind of like DM, I guess, just to your ear that only you can hear, that it did to Seir earlier. You hear a,
"Oh, Xainan, can you hear me?"
Mm-hmm.
So you're like the most responsible person here probably, except for Lumièra. But Lumièra is kind of in a compromising position back here, so I'll give this to you. Check your pocket. Blah.
Xainan, who has been trying to react not big and relatively like quietly enough that the wind will eat most of the sound that he's making, aware that the driver is sitting right there. And he goes into his pocket where he can feel the oracle having gone bleh. And he fishes around to grab whatever that was.
Your hands curl around a key, a set of keys, actually.
That's for your apartment.
Thank you. And he pulls them out and gives them a little jingle. And flips his hand behind the seat, holding the keys out, specifically knowing that Lumièra is very close at hand.
Lumièra looks so... If you just peeked back through the rearview mirror just for a second, she looks so uncomfortable, so just like eyes wide frantic. She just looks like this is like the most difficult position she's ever been in her entire life. And she just reaches up and grabs the key.
Jingle, jingle, jingle. Actually, none of you show up on the rear view mirror at all.
Oh.
It's like the taxi driver is driving a cab full of nothing and no one. But even though the taxi driver glances at the rear view mirror occasionally to kind of like, check his mirrors, he doesn't seem surprised. Though all three of you can hear blood humming underneath his neck. He's definitely a living mortal, but doesn't seem perturbed that he's cabbing for an empty seat. Cai K looks over at you, Lumièra. Actually kind of has to like lean a little bit because they're wait, you're in the middle seat, right, Lumièra? Seir is at the end, you're in the middle, and Cai K's next to you. So Cai K kind of leans in and says, I just wanted to say, good job back there.
Lumièra looks like a bit startled for a second, confused, because she's not really sure what she's getting congratulated on, but she still smiles and nods anyway. Thanks.
Is saving the little spider and all that.
It's part of our mission. We do what we have to, right?
Yeah, we do. And a little smile plays on Cai K's lips, a private little smile as they bury their chin down a bit.
Yes, we do.
Awkward!
If I could get to my pockets right now, I would give you some ball bearings to shut you up, please.
I'm just very hungry. So I'm acting out for attention.
Acting out will get you in trouble. Only good oracles get snacks, remember that.
Okay, fine. I'll try not to be so aggravating.
Thank you. Plus, Oracle, we are all hungry.
Oh. Okay, that's fair. But to be fair, I mean, all of you got to, drink a wheel tonight.
I'll feed you when we get to the apartment, okay? Just...
You promise?
Please, just few... I swear on fate. Just let me get through this.
Okay, yes. Mum's the word. Zip, zip, zip.
And on Lumièra's long-suffering sigh, the cab finally pulls to a slow and then a halt in front of 42 Elegy Parkway. And you all exit the cab in front of a no-frills apartment complex made of 3 conjoined buildings that surround a concrete courtyard. And in this courtyard, you see a few small but very resilient potted plants. And as the cab pulls off and Strike Team Nova enters 42 Elegy Parkway, you are greeted with a blast of warm air as a refuge from the autumnal chill outside. A flickering fluorescent light blinks in the ceiling, casting odd shadows every now and then, and you see in front of you a wall of private mailboxes, a set of elevators, and hallways branching off in either direction. Based on the name of your apartment number, 38, you can safely ascertain that it's on the 3rd floor. And sure enough, you do find 38 at the end of a corridor on the 3rd floor, a spacious corner loft. as presumably Xainan unlocks the door. No?
Lumièra has the keys.
Okay.
Lumièra has the keys, yeah.
So Lumièra, as you unlock the door and you open it up, all four of you are greeted by an open concept living room and a kitchen with a dining table. You also see a coffee table, a sofa, a couch, a TV. The walls in here are painted a pleasantly and very modern light green, and the floors are made of genuine hardwood. There's a big window off to your side that offers a generous view of Inferno's busy streets with these pulled back blackout curtains lining either side. And this apartment feels modern, it feels cozy, it feels lived in. There are carpets on the floor, magazines on tables, tomes in bookshelves. It's densely and tastefully decorated with design flourishes from your cover stories, your supposed past lives. But any and all personal affects are completely missing. It definitely feels like people should live here, but there's no semblance of intimacy. You can feel the negative space of your false personas. This home is just waiting for someone to actually live in it and love it. And now, the three of you have arrived. Plus Yin Ke, of course.
Oh.
Wow.
Huh.
Ooh, there's a bookshelf. Lumièra walks over to the bookshelf.
Xainan walks
see-
in, takes his hat off, and immediately starts looking for a hat hook.
There is one. Yeah. There is honestly a kind of coat stand with a hat hook on top right by the door. Lumièra, you see all sorts of books here. There's fiction, there's nonfiction, there's romance, there's fantasy, there are essays, pretty much anything you might want. And all of the topics are particularly interesting to you. There are medical manuals, there are history books, there are what appear to be award-winning kind of like prestige books here as well.
I am so happy.
Ugh. Seir doffs off his jacket and like puts it in the what I would assume to be like the closest like shoe closet situation that we have. Hangs it up neatly, and like dusts himself off of the city. And begins taking off his massive combat boots, which takes a while.
As you start to do that, Seir, you see Xainan start to take off his leather jacket that he's been wearing, and now you can see like there's bits of asphalt coming off of him. Like there's stone and like brick and things that are just kind of coming off of him from his.
Xainan, the fuck?
Listen, and he takes his jacket off, and you can see as he takes his kimono off from underneath that as well, his left leg, the entire like side of his pants, is wet with blood.
Fuck, Xainan, what the fuck is this? Seir's already like kneeling on the ground and like unpeeling off all of his like laces and belts and hooks and things off of his shoes, and is immediately eyes down to your pant leg looking.
It's fine. Lumièra will need some help with that later.
Here. Yeah, I see that. Let me see.
I
if
got hit
can
by a
find
car.
something.
Well, actually, more correctly, I hit the car, but it's fine.
Is this
It's not fine. Every single time, neither of you can never, ever, ever not find trouble. Lumièra is like
me?
fussing over like loudly as she's like digging through like her pockets, trying to find like gauze and stuff to treat.
We'll do this
Xainan.
later. Let me get situated. We just got here.
And you're
Don't give me
bleeding
that look.
and leaving rocks all over the place.
I will do it again.
Fate, I'm so tired. I'm so tired, Fate. I'm so tired.
And where
So
were you?
tired.
Xainan says, turning to Seir.
on the top of
Yeah.
a building without the two of you, clearly? And I'm
You were
assuming
on the
the
top
two
of a building.
on a construction beam. Yep. In fact, I was in a House Lanius union meeting, like I mentioned before. They
I'm
just let me
still
walk in.
confused on what a union is.
No idea.
Oh.
It just seemed like, I don't know, some sort of like pre-planned sort of like organizational meeting, like the
Okay.
ones we have for
That's
trans.
the beginning of it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's when I saw, what's their name, Jamie Shimizu, rolling in like a
Or our
hurricane.
assassin.
Mhm.
Prior to.
Jimmy,
Wait, you?
Shimizu, and oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, speak.
No, it's fine.
You're-
I was just. What do you mean you saw Jamie there? They're related to House Lanius?
All right. So stick with me here. And Seir outlines what happens at House Lanius. He speaks of arriving on the construction beam, hovering high above the city, meeting construction workers, being invited to this meeting. He talks about the layout of this meeting, the kind of people that walk in, not only construction workers, but suits, the tiers of leadership that he's noticed, speaking specifically about Aditi.
Mhm.
Yeah, Aditi of House Lanius, and how the presence of mind that she held and how Seir perceived it. And then he talks about Ren Shimizu. There is this person that's apparently they're a piece of they're like an informant or something for House Lanius, and they were looking into Thakrar and allegedly got into an accident. House Lanius doesn't believe it. They think they were killed and it was handled sloppily.
Do they have any idea of who it possibly could be?
Considering the target of Jamie's frustrations, because Jamie was incredibly frustrated, desperate, angry, there's only a few people that it could be. Either that Yara was indeed the person who is involved and handled it sloppily, or it is Rhododendron, or it is someone named Will Thakrar.
I don't
Huh.
think it could have been Yara. She doesn't strike me as the kill someone and then cover it up type.
I agree.
Well, we just saw someone kill someone.
Mm-hmm.
And killing seems to be a whole formal thing here. If Thakrar did want to kill Ren, why didn't they just challenge Ren to a duel like we saw?
No idea.
Maybe too messy.
I think there's more that lies beneath the surface. I don't know what kind of information they were feeding to Lanius. But
You took
Lanius
the words
themselves,
directly from my mouth.
Lanius didn't seem to want to act in that moment, but, well, Aditi was at the party. Aditi saw me, and Aditi also saw me at the union meeting. So, I will not count on any prior connections that I have made. I think that bridge is burnt now.
Val, did Seir talk about the association with Lanius and the Shrike?
Yes. I mean, he mentioned that briefly in the bloodbath, but he would have highlighted it again.
Yeah. Okay. Xainan, kind of listening more than responding, stops, and you can see that he's like trying to tie two threads together. Rhododendron, this killing of Jamie, now this information about Ren, and then this thread that seems to not quite connect, but it's something there, the Shrike. What do you think? We have to bring the Shrike to Rhododendron.
At this point, I'm inclined to think it's a person.
There's
in
a
my
lot
opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
multiple people, it seems. It's a whole house. How can there just be one? I can definitely believe that maybe Rhododendron has killed someone else, though. That was a pretty intense display.
Oh yeah, they're a
But-
killer for sure.
They seem
Oh, 100%.
they seem capable.
Yeah, definitely capable. But their eyes, they look so sad.
Killing isn't always joyful. Sometimes it's
No.
necessary, though.
It's grim, but some people take pleasure in it. I saw that plenty, back home.
I'm sorry you had to see that.
It's just life.
Fair enough. So, I think we need to keep our ears low to the ground. All of us. And we need to especially keep our eyes on Ro.
But we're
Tomorrow.
supposed to help them, right? That's the trans directive?
We can still help while also paying close attention to what's happening.
Okay.
I mean, it's also important to note that sometimes our mission objective, the verbiage and the language can shift throughout the mission. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens here too, but I agree, we need to and Seir kind of like gets lost looking at Yinghe as if that revelation of Yinghe seeing folks take pleasure in killing kind of ignites something within his conscience, and then he shoves it back down. Regardless, we should keep an eye on Rhododendron, and I don't know. I think everything will start to make sense the minute we see how House Thakrar is. I feel like I've got a vibe check off of Lanius.
And we're gonna learn a little bit more about a few others. Diablo.
Yeah, about that.
They're unaffiliated, but Anukata.
You spent
the
time
big scary
knowing,
woman.
getting to know Diablo, huh, Xainan?
Yeah, he gave me this, and Xainan shows us some of the like bruises from the fight.
Oh, he really kicked your ass a little.
Really putting that research
Thanks.
to use, huh, Xainan?
Thanks, Yinghe. The what? Yes, the listen. I was led there by an inclination. Just following my instincts.
What was it I said
But-
earlier about never being able to leave you two alone because you always find trouble?
In my defense, trouble finds me. But in this case, I did destroy their shop. And I did.
Xainan.
And he looks down to the bloody spot on his leg, do some harm to Anagata's motorcycle.
Is that why she was storming in your
She's so
direction like a
pissed.
storm?
Which I'm going to take as a opportunity, since Rhododendron is going to be middle for me and these two other parties. So we have a reason to associate with them. And we will have Ree's ear as needed to resolve the extenuating issues in this place. In this very connected favor for favor, duty for duty world, it seems.
Well, that's so complicated. Is that what it's like to be a trans agent? You have to juggle all of these things at once? This whole place is just so cool and vibrant and colorful. I don't know how any of you get anything done. I'd want to spend all day exploring. Or night, I guess.
Stellar tunnel
Speaking
vision,
of day,
focus, and grit.
and Xainan starts to close the curtains.
Yeah, before dawn rises. Very smart
Yeah.
move. Yep. You shutter the blackout curtains.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's
dim
right.
mood lighting automatically kind of like rises in the room to help compensate for your vision.
And as Xainan goes to the curtains, you can all see now he has a full like utility belt complete with shoulder harnesses and chest harness that he's been wearing underneath everything. And yes, on the back of one of the straps that goes over his shoulder, there is a half silver, half wooden spike strapped to his back underneath his clothes. You also see that spyglass, that scope that you made, Lumièra, in a sling easily pulled out on his right hip. No gun. You can see his signature blade also tucked into this rig, but there's also pouches and bags and all kinds of other strange things tucked in all of these places. And a nice, firm leather strapping system holding it all.
Nice.
Xainan, what is that thing?
What's what?
The silver and wood and stake thing?
Where? And he starts to like look over his shoulder.
On your back. Here, do you mind if I?
Of course.
And you feel something shift, and then this implement is brought forward.
Huh.
Huh.
And you see him kind of like flip it around. Oh. I guess it's a stake.
Do all of you come in here with stakes, or was that just part of your cover story? Like how Seir's was that he's a construction worker.
Seir looks at the entirety of his person where he would normally have 2 shining, sharp blades with him. He has nothing. The only thing sitting in his pockets are this slim little cell phone and what was formerly the bit of oracle that's sat with him for most of this journey so far. And Seir just kind of like pats himself down. Nope, I think my loadout this time is a little thin. It shifts sometimes, depending where we go.
My stake of choice is a scalpel.
That's always true.
Maybe you were a vampire hunter in a past life, Xainan.
Ugh, that's gonna be complicated. And he puts that stake back now that he knows where it sits. Like his hands already know how to resheath it, and he straps it back on. And as he turns, you also hear 1,000 little necklaces all hanging around his neck. And Lumièra, you see this gold down-facing what almost looks like a ring, but as he turns, it faces you, and it's actually a clock hanging off of his neck, a very small watch in a hanging down pendant. In Seir, you see a half crescent in black stone hanging there as well, among the thousands of other little things.
I'm gonna go get ready for morning bed,
Where
I
are
guess.
we
But
sleeping?
oh,
Is
yeah.
there enough
where
bedrooms
should
for
we-
everyone? And Lumièra will like turn off and go like start looking towards the bedrooms before you hear her scream.
Everything all right?
Lumièra,
There's only 2.
to what?
2
Bedrooms?
bedrooms. There are 2
Okay.
bedrooms for 4 people. 2.
Wait, well, how many beds are there in each bedroom? Maybe there are 2.
There are 2 beds and 2 bedrooms.
Oh.
It's
Oh.
fine. I can make myself scarce.
Absolutely not, Xainan.
Xainan, I'm saying this with all the love in the world. Sir, you are too old to be sleeping on the couch.
Wow.
Respectfully, like I said, with the most love and care in the world, you know your back will be ruined.
That is the second time
I've
you've been
slept
medically
in-
deemed an old man.
I have slept in significantly worse places and been fine, but thank you for your concern, wonderful
Maybe 15
medic.
years ago.
All of you.
Did I do it
Fate.
right?
Lumièra like does like a little mini like fingertip high five with Yinghe. Like that was a
Yinga
good one.
reciprocates it eagerly.
That was a good one.
Seir looks at Yinghe and this Lumièra situation that's emerging in front of him.
So actually, that's perfect because while you two were getting in trouble, does anyone want to know what Lumièra was up to?
I'm very
And
curious.
Yinga, I tagged along.
Lumièra
Huh.
woke up in a library.
Mm.
I work at a bookstore.
Wait, you have
That's great. Right?
like a job at
Yeah.
a bookstore?
Mm-hmm.
You love books.
I do love
Yeah,
books.
but-
You're right.
Xainan is dead and unemployed. And Seir
And apparently a
just,
vampire hunter.
Quit. Yeah.
I guess so.
But Lumièra and I had a very productive evening. We got
Yeah,
a
we did.
series of mysterious messages, which we tracked all the way to the catacombs, and we learned a lot about the history of Inferno.
Mysterious, like you still don't know who was sending them?
No.
No. We went to a burned down building. That's where I found Lumièra, actually. I ran into a pole, or what used to be a pole, mostly rubble. It hurt. But we had a good laugh about it. I liked that. We didn't really get much from that burned down building, though. But it seems strange that it's still around, even though the neighborhood it's in is so vibrant. And then we went to the
And no one
Inferno
was watching
Common.
you
Not
as
that
you were
I could
moving from
sense.
place to place?
No, and I have very good perception.
As do I.
Yes, so we are quite confident no one was watching us. The Inferno Common was a really nice green space. There was a little stream and then an archway across the stream. It's said that it was built in the 15th or 16th century by both House Thakrar and House Lanius.
Lumièra will instinctively, without even thinking about it, repeat what she read on the placard verbatim.
Huh.
Seems like
Strikes-
there's some old beef between those two.
It certainly feels like it.
But why would they build it together if they hated each other?
Maybe they didn't always hate each other.
Oh,
Or maybe they had to come together and for the sake of a common enemy.
Or something went wrong.
I wonder what
oh,
is going
sorry.
on.
Go ahead, Xainan.
No, it's just a thought. The Mayday missions have to do with Oblivion, so I'm wondering what the Oblivion influence on this place is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe all the killing and dying and living and dying again thing?
But that happens in places even without Oblivion.
Seir freezes up for a moment, thinking again about the doom of this place, and he looks on his little finger, that little red thread, and I think out of instinct he will helplessly attempt to try and connect to the doom of this place, but again, it's the same answer, isn't it?
That is definitely risky. If you want to try to take an action to connect with the doom of this place, I will tell you that the position is going to be desperate and your effect will be 0. Do you want to try?
Sure. Fuck it.
Okay, so what skill are you invoking?
I will invoke command.
Command.
I have 1 in it.
Okay, so you're trying to command Doom to talk to you and show you visions. Okay. That is a 1. What is your hunger at again? Your thirst?
Well fed.
Okay,
Right,
great.
too.
So, yeah, that is just 1d6. Would you like to try to increase the pool there?
Yeah, sure. Seir wants answers. Sure.
Okay, would you like
That's
to push
one.
yourself or accept a twist of fate?
I'll accept the twist of fate, Connie.
Okay, a devil's bargain from the Game Master.
Hee.
This twist will affect the volatility of what you see, if anything. So
Okay.
no matter the result, even if you crit, because you're going to have a 2d6,
Yeah.
you're going to get a really volatile answer, will be that twist of
Okay.
fate. Okay, so that's going to be a 2d6. Make that roll.
That's an ominous number. The 2 4s. That's why I thought it was an ominous number.
4. Okay, that is a partial success. Cost, complication, or consequence comes your way. What does it look like as you're so you're observing the red string on your index finger. You're looking at it. You're pulling on Doom, and you summon an image of this figure with antlers radiating across the horizon of the multiverse itself, dripping with strings of crimson. Most of them snapped, tangled, ripped apart, burned, desiccated. There's a flash of that in front of your eyes. And then you smell blood. So much of it. Spilled blood. You hear flesh ripping, snarling, vampiric grunting and growling. Undead strife. Desperation. Pain. Grief. Vengeance. 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 This all passes within a nanosecond, but this information overloads your synapses and blows outward through you. You are snapped out of this vision. The volatility of it is I'm going to put some harm on you.
Yes, please.
I'm going to say I'm going to put doomed on you as a severe piece of harm. Third level.
Right.
That means it's life-threatening. You, Seir, have pushed beyond this glass house that you're in. You've essentially tried to break through it, but instead of breaking down this wall, you've broken open your fist against it, and you've caused a crack to open here. It's not necessarily going to shatter and show you clear visions, but it will seep into the house with you. And unless you seal that crack up, it will threaten to drown you. For some reason or other, Seir, doom is really hard to reach here.
In the Seir's mind's eye, they are pounding at this glass house, and he's just yelling to the ether, "Come on, you fucking bastard! You have taken me over with all the omens and messaging, and you're quiet now? Fuck you!"
You pound against that glass. This is all happening in your subconscious, right? In that nanosecond, you see a finger's width crack, lightning web out from your fist. And in the darkness beyond, you see just a flash of blue eyes. And then something starts to, little trickles of not water exactly, but something red and crimson and bright and cold and hot starts seeping through that crack. It patters onto the ground by your feet, and then you're back in the living room.
Yeah, I don't know what the oblivion is here.
Seir, how is your body, physically responding to this vision? Because I think it's really intense.
A single red teardrop of blood pours down his eyelid and down his face.
Yeah. So technically a 3-tier level of harm means that you need help before you can make any other action. So you're going to have to do something to remove this soon.
Yeah. And I think Seir feels it. But I'm going to tap into one of Seir's abilities here, where when his stress is maxed out on the track or he takes a level 4 harm, he's not immediately removed from the fight. So he is tamping it down because he has that one last hurrah left in him, and he's still trying to tamp it down, probably poorly in front of, especially in front of Lumièra, who can see this kind of red blood trickle down his face. Sorry about that.
Okay?
Yeah.
I think I just need some sleep. He wipes his eye, and you see the red blood stain the bottom of his eyelid past his red eyeliner and dry up in his hand.
Okay. Yinko gives you a concerned look, but where they would have pushed earlier, they don't now. You almost see the impulse, she wants to ask, she wants to make sure that you're actually okay and you're not just putting up a front, Seir, but then she doesn't. Anyway, about sleeping arrangements. No matter who takes the couch, Lumièra, can I room with you?
Say what now?
I mean, you can say no, of course, but I would really like to room with you.
Sure. Why not?
Okay, great. I'll set up our room. And Yinghe goes down the hall and into one of the 2 bedrooms.
Seir looks like he was about to say something to Yinghe, especially seeing this interaction bloom between Lumièra and Yinghe. But the noise dies in his throat before anything can be spilled out of his lips. Well, that leaves us, Xainan.
And you see Xainan watching Yinghe leave, and you can see rapid fire thoughts behind his eyes as he thinks of the fight in the Raya and the conversation about dancing in the Manticore's nest. And he lets that go for a moment. Listen, I can sleep on the couch.
No. At least for tonight, Xainan. Just rest on the bed. Come on. Doctor's orders.
We can work it out tomorrow.
You
Not
heard
yet.
him.
We'll figure it out. I'm just not ready to sleep yet. So give me a minute.
All right. And Seir nods to himself. Still, I think he, like, you see it, Xainan. There's like a little bit of like wooziness that Seir is like carrying as he's walking around, but he's holding firm. And he goes into the room, walks past Lumièra and Yinghe's room as the doors are facing one another. What does Seir hear coming out of that door?
This closet is huge.
I was gonna say, I think Lumièra's like doing like her nighttime routine, so I don't even think that she's like actually in the room just yet. Like she's probably in the shower or something.
Yeah, you're in the bathroom. There's a hall that leads down and out of this open floor plan, leads right to a bathroom, and then on either side of the hall is one bedroom and the other bedroom. You hear Yinghe marveling over the closet, and you hear like water running as Lumièra is doing her nighttime routine, and then you step into the second bedroom.
Seir steps into the second bedroom and begins his own nightly routine, which includes stripping, because he doesn't wear a shirt when he sleeps.
Hell yeah! Ooh, ooh,
You
ooh.
peel your
Yeah!
shirt off! Oh my god! We love this for us! This is a win for gays everywhere. Seir, as you peel off your shirt and you get situated in your own room, both rooms beautifully, tastefully decorated. They both have those big windows, which thankfully blackout curtains already drawn over them. And Xainan, you are now alone in the living room with just the couch and that closed blackout curtain, staving off sleep for now, as some of that adrenaline from licking Diablo's blood and then licking Jamie's blood still buzzing somewhere in the back of your throat. And then we cut to midday. So, for a human, this would be the equivalent of midnight. For a vampire, midday means that it's been quite a few hours since the bloodbath in the catacombs. And I don't know about you all, but I think many members of Strike Team Nova might be struggling to fall asleep proper. In fact, we push into the room that Seir has claimed.
Hey Xainan, do you ever show up to the bed, or do you just like hover permanently outside for the rest of the night?
He plants himself in the kitchen, and you find that he does not go towards the bed.
I think Seir waited for you in the room and kind of like sat on the floor and like leaned against the wooden frame of the bed and found himself like the exhaustion taking him, the wooziness kind of like hunkering low deep in his body. He needs to kind of rest a little bit, something to deal with this. And as he's taking this in, Seir's not slept in his room in trance very well ever since Singh died. He's lived 25 years with a roommate. Every night he's heard the peaceful sleeping noises, the deep breaths, the giggling of a conversation over the oracle, fussing around with makeup brushes, anything, a sign of life in the room that he was in. And that doesn't exist for him anymore in his room at Trans. And as such, Dr. Wong has prescribed him a white noise machine in the shape of the Oracle. The Oracle is not very good at being a white noise machine.
Oh, wow.
Like I said before, Oracle, I mainly need you to sit in that corner and breathe.
How can I sit? I don't have legs. I can breathe though.
This is pointless. And Seir sits in that discomfort for a long moment before he's just like, fuck it, he already thinks I'm weird. And he like stands up to his like full height and marches out the door towards the kitchen. And Xainan, you see a shirtless Seir in like a pair of like dark sweatpants, and his hair is slightly disheveled as if he's been leaning flat against one side of a piece of furniture, and like a slight redness on his left eye that's sort of matched with his right, but not really, because that's the eye he bled out of. And he arrives like a child at midnight holding their blanket by their side and looks at you and says, Xainan, you going to bed anytime soon?
Seir walks out to a very normal scene of a man who has emptied every single pouch on his entire personage onto the table and laid every single thing out, occupying the entire kitchen table. Across it, laid out so neatly, vials of salt, that wooden stake, box of matches, a thing of just dirt. There's just dirt in his pockets. Nails and all kinds of things. An army's worth of vampire hunting equipment is laid out on this table, and Xainan Esch is sitting there leaned over it like he hasn't moved in hours, just looking it all over, because Xainan doesn't know how to rest when he feels this way. He can feel just outside the window this peril holding them inside of this apartment. It's not dust here. It's just the sun. But he sees Seir come out. And he just looks up. Oh, was I taking a long time?
A little. You look like you're preparing for war over there.
Oh, just checking my equipment. I don't have a gun.
Got that big stick, though.
Yeah. I can't shoot a steak. And he picks it up off the table.
Yeah, I do not know why you wouldn't be given a long-ranged implement. That's like your deal.
Yeah. But as he says this, he finally looks over at Seir and actually looks him over.
You see that? New ink
yeah.
on his chest. Singh's mark on his chest. You see what looks to be a very agitated scar of the the cut that violence had set into his ribs from the city of heaven. You see a bunch of other smaller scars all over him, the tiger striped tattoos on his forearms, and a boy.
1 second. Seir, that ink on your chest is white ink, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, Xainan, as your eyes fall on it, you notice just a pinprick, a needle's head worth of red. In the very top of that tattoo. Maybe it's just a trick of the light.
Xainan considers the strange events of the day, the new things he's experienced. He files that away inside of all of the other hunger for blood, the smell of other vampires, the ability to feel the heartbeat of every living being around him. And now, blood where he's fairly certain there shouldn't be. And he pats the table surface next to him for Seir.
And Seir thinks of every single time Xainan has pat an area right next to him and readies himself for yet another capital C conversation. And he walks over to the dining table, pulls a chair, and sits down and looks rests his chin on the base of his palm and looks at all of your fancy new implements.
Seir, as you sit down with a huff, we cut into Lumièra's bedroom, where the bed kind of squeaks a little as Yinghe tosses, and then turns, and then tosses. Lumièra, I assume you're also in the same bed. It's a queen-sized bed, so it's roomy, but not that roomy.
Yeah, Lumièra is minding her the good business that fate gave her. She is sitting in the room. The room is dark, and she has a book propped on her lap, not like her spell book that she carries on her, but like one of the books that piqued her interest from the bookshelf in the living room. And she's just kind of sitting there. And at first, the first toss, she ignores it and just licks her finger and flips the page, goes to the next one. But then it happens again. And she pauses and like just shoots her eyes over to Yinghe's side of the bed for a second. And then when she doesn't feel him doesn't feel him move again, she goes back to the page she was reading before Yinghe flips again and she slams the book shut. Yinghe.
And Yinghe turns one more time to face you. They have, in bedtime, taken off their ponytail, essentially. So their hair is just this pool of black tresses, almost like pure pitch oil silk. Falling over their shoulders, and they look up at you with those bright silver eyes that gleam in the dark. Sorry, am I bothering you?
Lumièra slow blinks for just a second before she goes, You're moving quite a bit.
Oh, right.
Here, try this, I guess. And Lumièra will reach behind her like haphazardly and pull one of the pillows and kind of like tucks it into their side for a second. Try to help give them a bit more comfort. Try this.
Oh,
I need some more pressure points sometimes when I have a hard time going to sleep.
This is actually really nice. Sorry, I'm just not used to sleeping in a bed. A little too soft.
Yinghe. Lumièra's looking like, come on, girl. Like,
oh, it's just, I'm so used to sleeping in the temple, on the floor, stone. Sometimes, I could harvest some straw in the village before they chased me out. Those were good nights.
You know, the first couple of nights are always going to be a bit more difficult. Some of my first missions at Trans, we didn't necessarily have beds to sleep on while we were out in mission. So coming back to my bed after a long mission of camping essentially was difficult. So, you know.
I see. I guess it's just something I'll have to get used to.
That's all. And Lumièra will go turn her attention back to her book, cross-legged, like she's sitting in like her bonnet. Her hair is like all twisted up. Like she's just cross-legged with the book spread out across her lap.
Another bounce, squeak, squeak. Sorry again. I just wanted to say, I know tonight was really intense, and we got those texts from that number that we don't know about, and it brought us to weird places, and then we were in a really intense catacomb situation, and we had blood for the first time, and then someone died, and you tackled their would-be victim out of the way, and it was just... I know today was supposed to be a really intense and probably objectively speaking kind of bad night, but I still had a really good time because I got to spend it with you. So thanks for being such a good guide, I guess. Teammate, I appreciate it.
Anytime. And Lumièra will turn her attention back to the book she's reading.
And there's something about the word choice from Yinghe, their nervous but genuine gratefulness, that triggers a memory for you. I think a memory of Sing, younger, shorter hair, antlers still barely more than nubbins, smiling at you, where your positions were rather reversed. You, as a brand new trans agent, being shown the ropes by Sing. Now you get to do this for Yinghe. Seir, you and Xainan are in Boy Talk Town.
When I can't sleep, I do this. My Ima used to count bullets. I counted feed. Done all sorts like this.
Does the counting help?
No. But I know what's there. So, certainty. What about you?
Seir looks embarrassed, like a teenager asked a very personal question by their parent. He kind of like looks off to the side, he's twiddling his thumbs. You see his thumb kind of like consistently stroke this red thread that's on his finger, like a little fidget. I've not really been on my own for very long.
Xainan looks to that new tattoo.
Look, it's hard to sleep on my own. I know that maybe you're not... I mean, you can count your equipment in the room. I just need someone there. That's all.
I get it. I understand. I've gone through times like that myself. Yeah, if it helps, I will count whatever this is later. Actually, I think I'm gonna try and get some rest. We all need to actually be ready for that meeting tomorrow.
Seir nods and looks at you, and you see relief wash past his face as you acquiesce to his very clumsy request for you to return to the room. And he kind of just looks you up and down and like chuckles to himself a little bit. I didn't think you had that in you, by the way.
What?
I don't know. Wildfire hotshot, I guess.
You know, I didn't always sleep alone. And he walks.
Oh no, I know that. Oh no, I'm very well aware of that. Naeem Sir made that infinitely clear.
I mean, before. I had another life, you know, before trans.
Xainan, you said you were walking toward you and Seir's room?
Oh, yeah, I muted myself. Oops. You know, before trans, I had another life, you know.
How did you deal with it? Sleeping on your own for the first time.
It was very loud, so it wasn't the same. I slept alone in a very different place. But I understand the empty, the quiet. I've been there. And, you know, and he looks to the other door, like, through the wall. He knows where it is. There's some things that you can, act on now that might not be there later.
Seir looks at you, looks at where you're looking, and then looks back at like your particular face, and as you are like watching him, and he just goes, he like leans back a little bit and just says, "What do you actually want to say, old man?"
I'm just saying, someone who crosses multiverses to dance with you, that follows you everywhere, might want you to not be lonely.
These are the words that sit with you for the rest of the morning, Seir. These are the words that ring out in your head as you tuck yourself into bed, as Xainan joins you, as soon your breaths even out. And finally, all 4 members of Strike Team Nova are able to fall into a dreamless, fitful, but still true slumber. And we're going to cut to break there. I will be back in just about 10 minutes. Thank you all for tuning in so far, and we will see you so soon. Howdy, Transplainers. You know what time it is. It's sponsor Connie time with a word from Hero Forge. Hero Forge has officially leveled up with kit bashing. When you become a pro member, you can place up to 20 more items anywhere on one of your Blorbos with their own independent scaling, rotation, and movement. You can make your character look exactly as they should, even if the specific clothing or accessory option isn't available at the base level. You just have to get a little creative. And because I love you, Transplainers, here's a special sneak peek at a kit bashed version of Oblivion. Just look at those wings and that base. This would not be possible without the power of kit bashing. The combinations are literally endless, and you can print your kit bashed Blorbos as plastic minis, standees, digital STL files, or even Hero Forge's brand new color statuettes. Color statuettes are twice the size of a regular mini, and just look at this. I mean, look at how massive this is, and especially in comparison to a regular mini, you can really get into all the nooks and crannies and details that wouldn't be as apparent on a regular sized mini. Just look at how Oblivion dwarfs Oka here. And also, if you're a GM, consider busting out one of these bad boys during a boss fight to really get your players shaking in their boots. Oblivion agrees. Unlock the true power of Hero Forge with a Hero Forge Pro subscription starting at $3.99 a month. Get in there and start creating at bit.ly/transforge. Now, let's get back to the show. Or more likely, just more of the waiting room. Trust in her will.